Welcome to the Wellness Superheroes. We are your hosts. I'm Annie,
And I'm Jodi.
and this week we have a really exciting topic. It's one of our favourite topics anyway. And we've
Yes.
been talking about this since the beginning, haven't we, Jodi?
Yep.
We're going to talk about essential oils, our
We're just
favourite
going to
ones,
cover
and what.
a fraction of what we can cover because there's
Yeah,
just too
this is
much.
true. We could talk about this for days.
Yes.
With all that we know and all that we've used and applied, and so this is just a little snapshot, really, isn't it? Cool. All right. So, without further ado, we'll bring in our little presentation about our Essential Oil Toolkit. I love the graphic work, Jodi. It's great.
It's all you.
This is my favourite meme when it comes to essential oils. The Christian paramedics just showed up, and it's a bag of. I identify with this lady.
Yes.
It's like if someone in our house is unwell and they're like, "Oh, I've got a headache, I've got a thing," I'm like, "Here's an oil. There's an oil for that."
Exactly.
So yes, so I just thought I'd chuck that one in there. It's a little bit of a laugh. So these are some of the key things that I've learnt in terms of essential oils, just practical stuff that is really foundational to when using them. Some people, I don't know if you found this, Jodi, but when people use essential oils for the first time, there's like this paradigm shift because they're used to taking, a couple of Tylenol for a headache, and then 4 hours later, and then taking another one. With essential oils, it's not like that because their chemical constituents are smaller than a cell. They're easily adaptable into the system, and so they're pretty much instantly acting, and they don't have a long half life. Like they're not in your system for a long time. They go to work. They're very intelligent too, by the way.
Yes.
They will go by what your frequencies are, what you're needing, and then they'll go to work straight away. So they're non-selective, and so saturating the cell is really key. I think is continuous use, and then that's where you see a benefit. So it's a bit of a paradigm shift, and you're going to have to just apply yourself a little bit more diligently with essential oils, but they definitely work. The other one is apply the oil where the issue is. So if you've got a sore throat, you're not going to be diffusing oils. It's not going to cut it. It'll clear your sinuses a little bit, but it won't do anything for your throat. So, bit of peppermint on a teaspoon with a bit of honey, and then down it goes, and then that'll have an impact on the area. And also the importance of using the VitaFlex points. Now we have nerve endings that come out on our hands and our feet, and for every organ in our body. And so if you're really unwell and you want to get oils everywhere, if you've got pain everywhere, it's like, where do I start? Then soles of your feet. You just apply a few drops in your hands, rub them in your hands, and then, clockwise on your feet with the opposite hand. And that's got to do with
oil, like olive oil or coconut oil, just a little bit. Sometimes it absorbs better, right?
Well, no, because the pores in your hands and your feet are the largest, so you're not
right.
going to get a reaction with your hands and your feet, even if it's a hot oil. It's not going to other areas of your skin where the pores are smaller. So you can just go hammer and tong on that one. Yeah.
Okay, so on your belly or somewhere else, you would use a carrier oil, right?
Yeah. Or even especially your face, like sensitive skin areas, your face.
Right. Yeah, that's good to know that you can apply it directly to your hands and your feet. I mean, I knew your hands and your feet. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, with your hands, you just got to be a little bit careful, not to rub your eyes or whatever.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. So, but so that's really key. Is the VitaFlex points. I didn't include photos in that, but we can go deeper into that another time. But this one is great question. If an oil is too hot, just apply with olive oil, coconut oil, or another fatty oil, because the molecules are larger. They'll slow down the absorption into the system. So.
Yeah.
All right. And the other thing to remember too is there's no industry standard of essential oil production, sadly. So You got to look up how a company distills their oils before you take internally, because many of them will use, they won't do cold pressing distillation or whatever. They'll use hexanes and alcohols and things to strip the oil from the plant, and then you're ingesting that, which kind of defeats the purpose.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, Jodi, you're up first. Talk
All
to
right.
us.
I just wanted to tell a couple of stories. So I've been into essential oils for, gosh, many years. I signed up for Young Living, like, God, over a decade ago, I think. And I dabbled in it, did stuff, and I loved it. And then I would kind of go on it and then off and on and off. And then when I got sick with the Delta variant, i.e. targeted, I really, it really helped me when I started taking essential oils in capsules. And that was like, almost 2 years ago, year and a half ago. And that's when I really noticed the benefit of that. Taking it in capsules is amazing. And, but I wanted to tell a little story that I've told before, but I feel like it's essential, no pun intended, to talk about it here. Actually, a couple of brief stories. So, the first one is that I know I have parasites, and we all do. And I learned that all arthritis is caused by parasites. People can debate that or not, but I learned that, and it resonated with me. And so I learned that there's different parasites cause different types of arthritis. So, for example, I believe rheumatoid arthritis, according to this guy I'm following, says that that rheumatoid arthritis is caused by, I believe, flatworms. And he was saying that if you can find the terminal frequency, is what he called it, to basically zap the parasite in the bone, that it will kill it, and then you're free. But and just to FYI, so parasites, to get in your bones, they go in through the bloodstream as eggs into the bone, and then they hatch, and then they get too big and they can't escape. So they're stuck. And that's supposedly what causes arthritis, which makes total sense to me. And I think a lot of adhesions around your bones and injuries is what happens, because if you have an injury, then the blood, it's opened up, right? And then the parasites can go in, and then they can wreak havoc, right? And so that's just my thoughts. I'm not going to debate anybody, but it really resonated with me, and it's going to resonate with you when you hear this story. So I decided to find out for myself what was the cause of my arthritis. So I meditate a lot. I talk to God, source, and I ask questions and I get answers. And so I was laying in my adjustable bed in a zero gravity position. This was months ago. My little kitty's in my lap, got my binaural beats I'm listening to, and I'm asking questions, what is the parasite that is causing my arthritis? And I drilled down and I got one yes, which was roundworm. And roundworm, and I thought, okay, I'm going to check his chart. Sure enough, roundworm causes osteoarthritis, which is what I have. So I was like, wow, okay, that's cool. Okay, I'm going to figure out the frequency. He usually charges $1,500 to work with somebody to go through the trillions of frequencies to find the one that's the terminal frequency. So I thought I can figure this out myself. So I just started going down the ranges of frequencies, got the range, which was between between 0 and 100. And so I started narrowing it down. And as I got closer to the correct frequency to kill the parasites causing my arthritis, my body started buzzing. And it was like, what's going on? And it was like, zzz, like this. And then when I hit the number, which was yes, it was 78 hertz or megahertz, I can't remember. And I was like, whoa, like this. And as soon as I hit it, my whole body was on fire, almost like levitated, and doing this. And my cat jumps up out of a dead sleep, turns around and starts like this and clawing at stuff and running around the room like she's chasing demons. And I was like, oh my God. And it freaked me out, because I'm like, oh my God, what's happening? And I thought, oh my gosh, they're thinking, they're sentient, obviously. And they're thinking, oh my God, she's coming for us. And they were freaking out. And so I ended up just going, I'm going to bed now. I'm not coming to get you tonight. Bye, like, calm down. And I went to sleep and I'm like, oh my gosh, so I'm looking for all this next day, 78 hertz. So I go to this thread that I'm in with all these kind of natural moms that are into essential oils and a lot of other natural healing. And I tell them this story and they're kind of freaking out. And they said, well, peppermint oil is 78 hertz. And I was like, what? And I was like, oh, wow, that's interesting, right? So then another friend of mine said, don't put peppermint oil on your hip, which is where I have my arthritis. And I was like, okay. She said, take the bottle and set it on your hip because it's the frequency. And I thought, well, I don't have time for that, to lay down for an hour and set this bottle on me. And she said, well, just lodge it in your underwear. So I did. Lodged it in my underwear on the side. And then about 30 minutes to an hour, pain goes away. Moves. It moved to between my groin and my left hip. Put it there. Moved it there. Moved to the center. Moved it to the center. It moves toward my right hip. Moved it there all the way to my right hip, which never hurts. It was running away from the peppermint bottle.
Wow.
And I was like, and then when I went to bed and then I woke up and my lower back was killing me. It had moved around to the back side. So I put it on my spine, base of my spine, and then fell asleep again. Woke up the next morning and my entire spine was sweating, just my spine, and there was no pain anywhere. So I was like, whoa, like there's something to this. Now it hasn't gone away forever, but when I use the peppermint bottle, it helps. So this shows how powerful the frequency of essential oils are. And I noticed I have a roommate and he has a very similar issue. And I told him about this. He thought I was crazy, but he put the peppermint oil on his hip because he has another hip problem too. It was gone the next day.
Wow.
He was freaking out. He goes, I don't understand. And I was like, so everything is frequency and essential oils work because of the frequencies.
Yeah. So do you still have pain in your hip?
Yeah, but it's not as bad. It
Yeah,
hasn't been as bad. And I, do other things for it, but and my pelvic region ever since I got really sick last year. So, but I notice when I will take, and I have a ton of peppermint bottles all over my house. So like if I see one, I go, I'm just going to throw it in I'm just going to throw it in my underwear. And I've even I strapped it around my knee before too, and pain goes away. It's really weird. And I had another friend who had an injury on her knee and I told her to do that. And she was like, how is that working?
Wow.
So it's pretty crazy. So I didn't put that on a slide. I wish I had. So maybe we'll, do that next time.
It's still a great story.
It's a great story. And I told the doTERRA people at a conference I was at months ago, and they were like, what? And then they had everybody come over and they wanted me to tell the story over and over again because I was using doTERRA's product. And so they were freaking out. They were like, oh my God, but it's just, so to me, that's how powerful essential oils are. And also it shows how sentient and how pervasive parasites are in our body.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. So
100%. That was really quite a discovery, I thought, when I first heard that story. When you first told me that, it blew my mind.
Yeah, it's a crazy story. So, okay. So with that said, I'm going to go into what I consider my essential oils. And I have to tell you, my new favorite oil is called Raven Sarah. There's another oil called Raven Sarah, not the same thing. Okay. Raven Sarah. And I discovered this oil because of our little Annie here, because she has some issues, vaccine injured, and she has some heart issues. And I decided, I'm an energy worker, and I decided to work on her. And when I asked what was her issue causing this, and we know it's the vaccines, but I asked, was it metals? No. Was it parasites? No. Was it viruses? No. Was it bacteria? Yes. I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And then I said, can I identify a frequency? Yes. So I started going down the list and I got this frequency 134. I thought, okay. So I look up 134. 134 is Raven Sarah, which I had heard of, but I didn't have, right? And I thought, oh, that's so cool. And I got the message that Annie can heal her bacterial infection, which is causing her heart issues. And she's confirmed that with me. That is actually what did happen to her. And I thought, wow. And then we started looking for Raven Sarah, and lo and behold, not available, not
Pretty
readily
hard to find. Mm.
readily available. And when I looked it up, guess what? It helps with heart issues, bacterial infections.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good for boosting your immunity, and it helps with all kinds of uh, respiratory and sinus infections and all this stuff. And I saw all these reviews of people that have been using it for years, and they take it and they never get sick when they take this oil. I never
Wow.
get anything that's going around. And I was like, wow, that's really powerful. And I looked, Young Living used to have it. They don't carry it anymore. doTERRA used to have it. They don't carry it anymore. Revive EO, which Annie looked up, there's a waiting list for it.
Uh-huh.
And so I found it on, and we'll talk about different brands. And it's here, the picture. I found it on this great site called Simply Earth, which is a newer, I believe, essential oil company that is absolutely fabulous, in my opinion. They have very affordable oils, and they have little boxes that you can sign up for, and they have little recipes and all this kind of stuff to help you make your own stuff. Really cool. But anyway, so I got two. I got one for me, and I shipped one to Annie. And I have been using this in almost all of my blends that I'm going to show you what I do,
Wow.
because it helps so much. And I noticed that it really helps, and it smells really interesting. It smells a little bit like absinthe, and a little bit like basil, and something, I don't know. It's almost like you want to put it on your food, It's
Yes.
got really interesting smell, and it's very pleasant. So, and somebody said it does the same thing that tea tree oil does and other stuff, but it's much more pleasant to smell.
Yeah. Wow. No, I put it on. I do. I have it. I just didn't have it with me. It's on my
I've got
little display with all my other oils. Um, but I put it on the other day. I just put it over my on my chest, and Mum's like, "Oh, basil." I'm like,
yeah,
"No, Raven Sarah."
doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Mm.
smells really good, and so you can diffuse it, and you can use it topically. Probably you wanna use a, a carrier oil if you're
It
putting
is
it
a
on.
little bit warm, that one. So yeah,
Yeah,
just a little bit sting,
yeah,
but not too much. I've certainly
yeah.
done what.
And then, of course, you can put it in a veggie cap, and you just when you use, and a lot of our recipes are putting oils in a veggie capsule, and you put them straight in there. You don't need a carrier oil. You just do the drops, and you just swallow it. And I know every
Mhm.
time I've ever used, put oils in capsules, they start working within 10 minutes. It's very quick,
Yeah.
very quick. And if I take like an Advil or something, it takes like 2 hours to start working for me. But with essential oils, it's like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's
I
amazing.
highly recommend Raven. Sorry if you can get it. Simply Earth.
If
It's
you can
the
get
only
it.
place
Yeah.
I know that you can get it from. So
Yeah.
right now. Okay, so here is what I'm calling sinus allergy bomb. It's good for any kind of upper respiratory stuff, especially in your head, if you've got head stuff going on. So I do 2 to 3 drops each of lemon, lavender, peppermint. Those are kind of the basics for any kind of sinus stuff. But I added black pepper because I got that idea a year and a half ago from somebody, because it really helps with chest congestion. So if you've got
Yeah.
phlegm and stuff like that, add black pepper. And then if you feel like an infection is coming on, or you want to prevent an infection, I use oregano oil instead of antibiotics. I will never take another prescription antibiotic. It has messed me up throughout my life. And oregano oil is such a powerful antibiotic, and it's really safe to use. You don't want to use it more than 10 days in a row. But I always add a little oregano oil if I feel like I'm getting sick.
Yeah.
I'll always add that on too. And it usually
Yeah.
that all that pretty much fills up my capsule.
What's interesting about black pepper though is it's high. It's got high expectorant properties to it,
Yeah.
but it's also a good analgesic. So it's good for pain relief.
Yes, yeah, and this will if you have a sinus headache, it will be gone in 10 minutes if you take this. I've
Yeah.
never had a sinus infection not go away after taking this, and I usually, if I have a really bad headache, I'll do this at least twice a day, if not 3 times a day.
Wow.
Now, you probably don't wanna do oregano oil in there 3 times a day, but, the other stuff, definitely,
Yeah. Wow.
definitely. So that's that.
That's cool.
Yeah. Okay. So my protection bomb. So I came up with this after being extremely ill, and I have taken Thieves before, which is Young Living's kind of protection blend. and I've taken On Guard, which is doTERRA's protection blend. And then I found Dr. Axe's has a ancient nutrition, ancient something, essential oil line, which is excellent, by the way. I highly recommend their line. And they had this called Ancient Defense. And I was looking at it because I started taking that and it really worked. And it was a little different from what others were doing. So Thieves has, it's either lemon or orange.
That's
Uh,
lemon.
Lemon. Okay, so it has lemon. It has cinnamon, clove, rosemary,
Yes.
and eucalyptus or something like that, right? Because it's got, and then On Guard is very similar, but it has orange instead because it's like they can't kind of copy, I guess. And then it has, I think, thyme. Like one of them has rosemary, one of them has thyme. I think they both have eucalyptus.
Yeah,
And
yeah. And it's Eucalyptus radiata is that one.
okay,
But it's also
yeah,
got cinnamon. So clove, cinnamon, lemon.
yeah,
Yeah,
cinnamon.
and
Yeah, they all
rosemary.
have cinnamon, clove, and some sort of orange citrus, right? So they
Yeah.
all have that. But Dr. Axe's had ginger in there and thyme. And so I started taking it. I was like, oh, this is really good because ginger, I love ginger. And ginger helps with a lot of different things. It helps with your digestion. And so I started testing out different things. And I love bergamot. That's my favorite oil to
Oh, yeah.
smell. And it is a citrus. So it's very similar properties to orange and lemon. But during COVID, I found studies that bergamot healed COVID by itself.
Wow.
There were studies literally proving that. So I was like, well, that's interesting, and whatever COVID is, there's that's up for debate, whether it's a virus or whatever, but people were sick, let's put it that way. So I thought that was really interesting and I love bergamot. So I decided to make my own blend and when I take ingest eucalyptus in an oil, it really, it
It
makes me
repeats.
digestion and like
Yeah.
acid reflux and stuff, and I can't take it. And
Yeah.
so I love to breathe it in. It's great for diffusing and over the pot over the stove and inhaling the steam, all that kind of stuff, but it's not good. So I came up and I tried a lot of different things and I came with my perfect blend. This is my perfect protection blend and it is amazing. And I make it myself. And that's a picture from Revive because Revive had all these oils and they're very inexpensive and they're almost all organic. And
Wow.
so I do 2 to 3 drops of cinnamon, clove, and bergamot. So those are very similar to the, things that are in either On Guard or Thieves. And then I added ginger, thyme, and they have manuka. They have a manuka,
Mm.
and manuka honey is antibacterial. It's very healing and it smells amazing. And so that's kind of like the oregano oil, property wise, because it's antibacterial in there. It smells so good and I swallow it, all of that, and I feel so protected when I go out or whatever. And I also can put it in my hands, because I make a little bottle of it and I can do this, before I go out, and it smells so good. So this is my own recipe. Feel free to use it. It's amazing. If I
I
do
love
say
it.
so myself. So,
Well, that's how I've learned to use a lot of essential oils is I will use what resonates. So what I'm drawn to, and it
mhm,
changes every day. So I'll look at my oils and
right.
I'll be pulled towards a certain one. And so when I want to do a blend, that's the same. I'll use what I'm drawn to.
Exactly.
Um,
Exactly,
yeah,
and also this is a lot of these are anti-parasitic, and I believe when they were trying to figure out what was in the shots, remember when they were saying it was like Chagas disease or something? No,
yes,
T. cruzi,
tea
which
cruisy.
is like
Yeah.
an ancient parasite or something, and then they found that the thing that worked against T. cruzi years ago was cinnamon and clove oils, like, it was all essential oils that worked on this, and I thought, "Wow, that's interesting." So I feel like this is protective against parasites and any other thing that's going to be coming at you.
Yeah.
Now to me, this is like protection before you might get sick. And then the other one, the sinus allergy, if you already feel like you have a headache or sinus headache or allergies, or, if you feel like you're getting any kind of cold symptoms or whatever, I would take that. But this is great protection. It has worked for me. I have not been sick since I started doing all of this, not once. If I
Yeah.
feel
Wow.
I do this, I don't get sick.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's incredible. That's really
yeah.
good. Love it.
And then the breathing issues, I did this when I was really sick too. So I did it on a pot over the stove, where I boiled water and I put 3 drops of each. eucalyptus, rosemary, and peppermint. Those are 3 really good breathing blends. And then I added more drops of the black pepper for the expectorant effect. And now you can diffuse this, but I did it in a pot and I boiled it for like 3 minutes, and then I turned it off, and then I put a towel over my head, and then, raise the top of the pot off. You don't want to burn your face or anything, but then you can just cover it and breathe it in for about 2 or 3 minutes. It really clears your sinuses, your throat. It's amazing.
That's so good.
Yeah. And then let's see, pain rub. Okay. So I love doTERRA products, and they have these products called Deep Blue, which are amazing. And they have a rub, they have a stick and all that stuff. They're really, really good. But if you want to make your own rub to kind of put on, because peppermint is so strong, sometimes it's a little overwhelming. So what I have been doing is putting a tablespoon of coconut oil, if you have like any kind of coconut oil, really, and then you add 5 drops. 5 drops of Deep Blue. That Deep Blue comes with doTERRA, the little bottle. Or if you have peppermint, you can use that. And then I do, I don't even know how to say these two.
Copaiba
And Cajeput. And those are new ones that I have discovered from Simply Earth. And they're amazing. And so all of those together, you don't have to do Deep Blue or peppermint. You can just do the Koi Baba and Cajeput if you want to just do that. But the Deep Blue is really, really good, and it really penetrates deep. And it has peppermint oil in it, which is really interesting considering my peppermint oil story, that peppermint oil is almost in every anti-arthritic ointment, which is interesting that that's the one that, the frequency, right? So that's my pain rub. And then that's it. That's all I documented for now. So
okay. Well, so just while I've got the thing open, let me find it. No, it's not here. That's so weird. Yeah. So I'm just trying to find what the action is, because I think it's
with those two.
It's mentha is the constituent that they use in all, like a menthol, mentha. I forget the full name of it.
Oh, right.
But it's a chemical constituent that you'll find in all the pain rubs.
Oh, right. And the Cajeput smells so good. And let's see if I have the other one here. That's not it. There it is. Koi Baba. Kobam.
That's a mouthful. Yeah. That one's a resin. I think that's a similar. I've got it here. So it's got pain and anti-inflammatory anti-inflammatory. Sorry, properties. Antiseptic. Apparently good for the urinary system, so bladder and kidney disorders and all that sort of stuff.
And you can, I rub it on my belly and like just kind of all around my midsection. This blend.
So it's also a mucolytic, so it'll break. It's like expectorant, so it'll break down mucus and stuff.
Oh, I should probably be rubbing that on my chest too, I guess.
Kidney stone preventative.
Yeah.
As well. That's anti-ulcer. So that's interesting. The ones of Copaiba. I think it's from a resin too.
Yeah, and I noticed that like in the
smells like a resin.
A lot. Simply Earth gives you a lot. These are big bottles, and they're so inexpensive. And I just love their branding. I noticed that it's a really thick thing, for it to come out.
Yeah,
exactly. And then, but on the I keep losing the one on what the Cajeput, it's just kind of regular, and it smells so good. It's so good. So those are 2 relatively new oils for me, and they really work with the pain. And I got, I'll tell you at the end about Simply Earth. They have all kinds of really cool little boxes that they send you. So it's really good.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Exactly.
Well, so I have an interesting history with essential oils. I never really heard of them prior, but I was introduced by the pastor's wife at the church I used to go to. She used to have Thieves and Panaway. Like that was whenever I saw her, she smelled like either one. And I was like, oh, you smell so nice. What perfume is that? She's like, it's not, it's essential oils. And so I was intrigued. I was like, oh, okay. So, where can I get them? And she was super sketchy about how to get my hands on them because, they're all set up as direct sales companies. And I was like, oh, I just want to get some. Just send me the link. How hard is it? Anyway, so once I started to learn about these oils and what they did, when I saw her and I obviously hugged her, then I could tell like, oh, a bit of a sore throat, or is you got a sore neck today, like based on those two oils, Panaway and Thieves, and Panaway is a favorite oil, but it's not what I focused on today.
I do like Panaway. I do like that oil. That's
a good one. Mm-hmm. It is so good. I think it's the wintergreen that's really like, I had never heard of wintergreen, and then I'm like, oh, hang on. But it's interesting too because you can look up on PubMed and look at these essential oils and what they've done for various conditions and stuff. I've actually studied. Yeah. But interestingly, I'll talk about when I had COVID. Because many people were taking a certain paste that we've learnt about, but I didn't bother. I actually took a Sinus Bomb of 10 drops of Thieves, 8 drops of oregano, and 2 drops of frankincense, and I took it in a veggie capsule every hour and swallowed it down with Ningxia Red, which is a vitamin B supplement. And so that was what I took every hour. I was so sick, but I set my alarm and I had my Ningxia and I had my Sinus Bomb and I would take it every hour. And, I was better in a couple of days. Like, it didn't really take hold.
8 drops of oregano, that's a lot.
Oh, it filled that veggie capsule. And so like it is, oregano kind of does repeat on you. And I didn't, I lost a bit of weight because obviously I wasn't eating. Right. You don't eat that much, but the Ningxia provided kind of the supplemental value, the dietary intake for energy and other stuff that I needed. So that was my regime when I had COVID both times. And yeah, it didn't, it did a good job. Bear with me a second. My dog is crying. So that was a kicker, this one. Even if I start to feel something come on, then I'm immediately with the Sinus Bomb. This does wonders. And then for pain, this one, the Morphine Bomb, 5 drops of frankincense, 5 drops of copaiba, and 5 drops of Idaho balsam fir. Wow. That is really effective if, and I've taken this when I've had really bad, menstrual cramps and all that sort of stuff, really bad joint pain.
And how do you take it?
To help with the break in a veggie capsule. So fill that sucker and swallow it down. I forgot to put that up there. So that one's in the veggie capsule for pain, and that does a really good job as well. And for digestive issues, I don't really get them, only when I overeat, really, when, we have an event and Christmas or Easter or something, a big old feast, and, you get bloated. I'll use Digest or peppermint, whatever's closest, and I'll apply it in my belly button and rub it around. I don't use a carrier oil for those. It doesn't bother me. It's very fast acting. Yeah. For that. So, and that, helps with indigestion and bloating and flatulence and all the things. That's a really good go-to.
Peppermint is so good for so many different things,
It really is. It really is a good one. Sleep issues. Okay, so this one, before I got my hands on some melatonin, I was taking valerian. Now, if you've ever opened a bottle of valerian, you're going to want to run for the hills. So it's not one to diffuse. This one I filled a veggie capsule halfway, and I'd take it, just before bed, and I'd sleep like a log. The other I did this last night. Didn't have any issues sleeping, but I just kind of wanted something nice to sleep to. But this is what I did as well before I got my hands on the valerian, was use this blend, and it's just so heavenly. I get right off to sleep straight away. 3 drops of lavender, 3 drops of ylang ylang, and 3 drops of vetiver. And vetiver is a very viscous oil, so you got to kind of hold it for a long time before it drops out.
Wood. It's a wood.
Yeah, it's very nice. I love vetiver. Okay, so before we go on to the next thing, I did just want to share about we haven't really talked about the emotional benefits of essential oils, but I wanted to share this little tidbit of what I learned, and it absolutely rings true for me, is if you smell an essential oil that you're completely repulsed by, it means you need it emotionally.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I'll give an example. So Young Living have this blend called Forgiveness. And I opened this bottle a few years ago, having lived through a church split and all the rest of it, and I had some bees in my bonnet, to say the least. And so I opened this essential oil, and I couldn't get out of the room fast enough. I was gagging. I was like, get it away from me. It smelled disgusting, absolutely rancid. It really did. Wow. And because smells affect the limbic part of the brain, which is associated with memory, and they're very intertwined. And so that was one particular one. And the other essential oil that I reacted to was this blend that Young Living have called Trauma Life. And I wasn't as repulsed as the Forgiveness one, but it was still like it left like this bitter. It left this bitter smell that was what hung around. Anyway, so I have recently, that was a few years back, and I don't really use my emotional oils too much, but I was like, I just wonder, having lived through a pandemic and more anger issues and more unforgiveness, how does, what's the litmus? How do I respond to the Forgiveness bottle of oil? So I opened it and I had a smell, and it smelt so pleasant. I'm like, go figure, because I remember being absolutely repulsed by that sucker, and couldn't wait to be out of the room. And Trauma Life the same. So Trauma Life, it has an initial fragrance of bitterness, but then there's a lingering sweetness, which I found really quite poignant.
Well, if you like are repulsed by it, does that mean you need to like smell it and wear it or whatever? So
that means that you potentially have emotional blockages in relation to that. That area.
I work a lot.
Hey?
I work a lot. That's great.
Yeah. So if you're repulsed by an oil, you need it emotionally. And if you cannot get enough of it, if you feel like you could drink it, it means you need it physically.
Oh, wow.
So some chemical constituent in that bottle carries something that your body physically needs.
Wow. That's so cool.
That's
so cool. So cool.
Yeah. So that's my little anecdote for emotional oils that we didn't include. So here we have our must-have single. So this is, cast your mind back to the meme at the beginning with the Christian paramedics showing up. This is what is in our sack. Isn't that right, Jodi?
Yes. This is the must-haves for your single oils.
So frankincense, mate, that's a highly spiritual oil. It's a powerful emotional oil, and it's an extremely powerful physical oil as well. So
and it helps with depression, and it helps with skin conditions. It'll take skin tags off your skin, to rub it on there. It helps with cancer, all kinds of stuff. It's great emotionally as well as physically. It's probably the best, my favorite oil.
Oh, by far. I've chucked cypress oil in there. I don't know if you've used cypress oil, Jodi, but I use it because I've got, crampy, achy, and often cold legs and feet. And my parents have a bottle of this by their bed at night as well, and they both have, they'll wake in the middle of the night with spasms in their legs, cramps, and they'll reach for the the cypress bottle, and within 10 seconds, the cramping has stopped. It's really fast acting
Wow.
cypress, so that one's a must have. But it's also really good for circulation, like I said. So when I have cold sleep at night and can't get my feet warm and it keeps me awake, I'll take my socks off, put some cypress on the bottom of my feet, and then put my socks back on, and they're warm within 5 minutes.
Wow. That's so cool.
Yeah. And lavender, well, that's known as the Swiss Army knife of essential oils,
Yes.
really, isn't it?
Yeah. And it's good not only for physically, like for burns, bites, and cuts, but it's also good for relaxation, stress, anxiety. You can put it in your bath. It smells good. It's
Yeah.
wonderful. And you
Yeah.
can use it with like vanilla and all kinds of other things. I love lavender.
I burnt myself at work the other day, and I couldn't leave because we were very busy. I was working at a pizza shop cooking pasta, and so I'd burnt the poured boiling water over my hand, and so I called Mum and I said, "Can you bring over the bottle of lavender?" I'm like, "I burnt my hand, I can't leave," and so I doused my hand with lavender, and then everyone's like, "Whoa, what's that smell?" But I'm like, no blistering. It
Yep.
didn't hurt the next day. It was completely fine. It was just,
Yep.
it takes the sting out. So yeah, I highly recommend lavender. Now hyalochrysum. I don't know if you have a story for hyalochrysum, Jodi, but I cut myself. I'm accident prone. In case I've got all these stories. If you haven't figured it out by now, Annie's a bit accident prone. Keep your distance when you're around me in person. I was out in the garden and I was cutting out some wasp hives that had taken root in my lemon tree, and I didn't have any gloves on. That was not very smart. So with the Stanley knife, it ricocheted and stabbed into my finger, and I didn't. Usually people's reaction, they go, "Oh, got to go to the doctors, get a tetanus shot." It was a rusty old Stanley knife too. I was bleeding like a stuck pig. I said to Mum, "Get the hyalochrysum," and she was kind of like, "Oh, what?" But I would have done it myself, except I'd been bleeding so much. And so I just kind of pulled the wound open a little bit, a couple of drops of hyalochrysum, and it doesn't hurt, and it's not inflamed, it's not swollen, and it
Wow.
was a pretty deep cut, and it stopped bleeding instantly. So
Wow. That's amazing. I hadn't heard that for severe bleeding. That's pretty.
well, they say it's got anticoagulant properties, but it's also for bleeding as well. Like I'd heard a story of a Canadian who uses hyalochrysum. She had one of their kids cut open an artery or something, or in a car accident, and so she just had hyalochrysum, doused it, and the bleeding stopped. So I was like, okay, I'll use that. And so there you go, living proof. I tried it myself. So yeah, what is it? It's an anticoagulant, antispasmodic, antiviral, detoxifier, chelates chemicals, toxins, and regenerates nerves.
Wow. That's really
That's
cool.
hyalochrysum. So
Wow, that's
yeah,
amazing. And then peppermint, which is good for so many things, but a lot of people don't know that it's really good for fever, to bring a fever down and pain, and you can use it on a baby. I believe a lot of people they'll use it for fever, pain, and fever for a baby. You can just rub coconut oil and put it in their belly button and kind of rub it around there, and
yeah,
it brings the fever down. Or you can put it on their feet.
yeah.
And putting it on your feet can bring your fever down too. If you want to bring your fever down, fever is actually a very healing thing. Your body is trying to rid itself of a pathogen, and usually that's what it does, is it heats your body up. So you might not necessarily want to bring a fever down.
Mm,
But for
so
babies, it
true.
is kind of scary, when they have a high fever. As a mother, it would be very scary.
Yeah.
So, but peppermint's just all around good for and digestion and pain and fever and a whole bunch of other things.
Oh well, and if you've got a long trip and you don't want to be drowsy on the road, if you get a drop of peppermint, put it on your thumb, and you
Mhm.
stick it to the roof of your mouth, it's more effective than taking a few shots of coffee, strong coffee. It'll
Oh,
keep you
wow.
alert and
Not
awake.
know
If
that.
you reach it on the top of your palate, it'll have direct access into your that part of your brain, and so it'll just automatically be released up to there. So yeah,
Wow.
suck on your thumb for a minute with peppermint, and it'll
Oh,
keep you alert on the road.
that's cool. That's cool. So, yeah, and tea tree oil is also another good one that we didn't really talk about, but It's excellent for it's like a first aid kit in a bottle for me. Like, I always used to always have it with me, especially if you get a mosquito bite or any other kind of
Mm.
bite or skin irritation. You do probably need to add some carrier oil with it because it's very, very strong, but it works on any kind of skin irritation or, fungal infection, anything like that.
And it's another good respiratory oil too, I find.
Yeah, in fact, I've added that to my, sinus blend sometimes, I'll add it. If I add that, I don't add oregano, so I kind of flip back and forth from tea tree oil to oregano oil, and
Yeah.
also, I forgot to add this, but when I've done oil pulling, which we could probably do a whole show on,
Yeah, we could.
where and
Yeah.
I use coconut oil for oil pulling, so it's a big tablespoon of coconut oil, you put it in your mouth, and then you swish it around for, like, 20 minutes, can't talk, and it really pulls out all the toxins in your mouth, and then you spit it out in the trash, not your sink, and you can I add peppermint oil and oregano oil or peppermint oil and tea tree oil, and that really helps with, the detox effect in your mouth.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that a lot. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
I've got a bit of gum disease, so and I've only just been rinsing occasionally or spraying with colloidal silver.
Yeah. And ginger
Yeah.
too would be another good one, to do for your mouth.
Yeah, wow,
Yeah.
that's so good. All right, and so our must-have blends. Well, Thieves is yeah, it's one of those Swiss Army knife oils.
Yes.
Really, it's great protective, highly antibacterial, antifungal, all the things. Yeah, you need to have some Thieves,
Yeah.
some form of Thieves.
Or something like that.
Sorry?
Or something like that, right?
Yeah,
Something
or something like that,
yeah.
yeah. Yeah, the blend of Thieves. And you know the story about that, right?
Yeah,
How
tell it,
that
because some
came about?
people might not know.
So the reason why it's called Thieves is because back when there was the Black Plague, there were people who would pickpocket the dead, and they carried in their pockets cloves, lemons,
Cinnamon.
cinnamon, and rosemary, and they wouldn't die. So they could pickpocket the dead and then be completely
They wouldn't
free
get sick.
of plague or illness.
Mhm.
And so that was a myth or a legend or whatever, but that carried on,
Yes.
and so Young Living formulated Thieves, DoTerra formulated, which one is it? Is it
On
the On
guard.
Guard?
On
Yeah.
guard.
So very similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So long as it's got those key elements,
Mhm.
then yeah, you'll be well set.
Yeah, exactly.
Valor is another. I use it as an emotional oil. It's been very supportive and it's good at bolstering if I'm walking into a highly contentious environment or doing something that makes me nervous. And often, if you have to, many people I think post COVID would have some social anxiety. So sometimes, just getting out and amongst people and big event or whatever, I will use Valor. My mum will use Valor. My sister, we will douse ourselves in that, and that's almost like it lifts like it puts a bubble, a bit of a protective bubble around. It's very effective, very calming. Deep Relief is another one with another roller bottle. I use for when I have tension headaches, migraines, all that sort of stuff, just around my temples, and it's got peppermint in it and copaiba, so another good one.
Yeah.
And Dragon Time, I use for my hormonal support. So when I have really bad cramps and sinuses, and I will apply it to a drop to my wrist, and I will rub clockwise 3 times around my opposite ankle. Those are the Vitaflex points for your your ovaries and your uterus and all that sort of stuff. And that just really takes the sting out of monthly cramps for me.
Cool. Cool.
Yeah.
And on the right side, my must-have blends are On Guard or a Thieves like. There's actually, I believe that Revive, which we'll talk about the different brands, they have their own version of Thieves and On Guard. So they have kind of knockoffs of both of those. And so those are protective blends. And then the Deep Blue, which I am crazy about from doTERRA, and it's the one that is really good for pain. And it's like a rub, and they have the oil, and they have a stick. They used to have a roll-on that was amazing, but they stopped that. And it's really good for just rubbing into certain areas, and it penetrates so deeply into your body. It can really get down into the bones, the muscles, and everything. It's amazing. And then Breathe is their blend for respiratory stuff, which I really like. So on my breathing issues slide, I sometimes I'll put Breathe in there, and then I'll add the black pepper, and I think one other thing. So you can use that too as well for diffusing or doing some sort of steam heat. And then the last one is what they call Digest Zen, which is a great oil or a blend. And I take the capsules, and it's really good for any kind of digestive stuff. If you've got indigestion or acid reflux, or just having issues at all, anywhere in your digestive system, it is amazing, and it works very quickly. And I'll take that, and that it's gone within an hour. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah,
very good blends, those ones. I think I actually think Deep Blue is probably similar to the Deep Relief.
But it is
actually. I think it is.
I bet it is.
Yeah,
I know they have it's like almost the same. Yeah, you can find the equivalent.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah,
means these oil blends, they work. They're
yes
tested and true, and other companies will have a similar blend. So
right, exactly.
Good to know. Yeah, awesome. So, do we have any more slides, or is that it?
Yeah, we have one more, I think. Yeah, so these are the brands that we have used and recommend. And Annie, she's a Young Living rep. I mean, we don't really push these so much. I don't think you do either. But she's been using Young Living for a long time. I've used Young Living too, and I think they're amazing. They are a bit pricey, I will say that, but they're usually very dependable. And then same with doTERRA, pretty pricey, but really, really good, high quality oils. And they're not all organic from either one of those companies. I think they have to say they're organic. So some of them are, some of them aren't. And then, but there's two new companies that I've discovered over the last couple of years, and that's Revive. I think it's -EO. We can put links to it when we publish this. And they've got some great oils, and they have smaller bottles that you can like buy. I think it's 5 milliliters or 10 or 15. So you can try out an oil that's a smaller. They have all these different sizes. So it's really good to try it. They have copycats of everything from Young Living, and almost every common blend from Young Living and from doTERRA they have a copy of. And I ordered their Immune Boost, I think, that's like these, and it's really good. And it has the same exact oils, but it's like $15 instead of like $49. So, but it's a smaller bottle. So it's probably half the size, but still, you're getting, and then, so I like Revive. I've been pretty happy with it. So that's something, if you don't have the money to spend on Young Living or doTERRA, you can always do something like Revive. Yeah. And I think they have like a referral link or something. I think I have it, but I don't think I've ever used it. And then there's this newer company that I have just discovered, and I'm crazy about this company, and it's called Simply Earth. That's where I got my Raven Sarah from there. And then they have this, if you want to sign up, which I did for 1 month, it's called an essential oil recipe box. And so it'll come, and this one is pain relief. So let me take out my other stuff I have in here. So it has can you see this?
Yeah.
I don't make any money off this. This is not any kind of, I don't even think they have anything like that. So it comes with 4 oils or whatever. And then it has these little, what happened to it? It has these little cards, and they're like recipe cards. And then they'll have this is for a lotion. And then they have a little bit of the lotion in there. And then you make your own balm or lotion or whatever. They have a rolling bottle on here. And then they have little stickers that you can put on once you make it. Isn't that cool?
That's very cool.
It's so cool. They have all these recipes for the different things you can make. And this was a pain box. And so I was like, oh, I need this one, and it was all these different things you can make. And I started making stuff. That's how I came up with my pain balm or rub, because I got this, and I was kind of experimenting with it, and it introduced me to some new oils that I had never heard of before. And so it's a pretty new essential oil company, and they're very responsive, and they email you, and I don't know, I'm crazy about it. This company.
That's so good.
And they had Ravensara,
Great
which
idea. They have Ravensara. Yeah.
Yes.
That's so good.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Well, yeah, so that pretty much like I said, we could talk so much. I have so many books, so many fun tidbits. It's very scientific, actually, essential oils, but also the quantum physics of it all, and it's a fascinating subject to get into.
It is. I have a ton of books. I don't even know what they are.
I have so many books. It's not funny. I'm often referred to as the library. People just come, hey, have you got this book? But no, we absolutely love essential oils, and we highly believe in their efficacy for keeping yourself well and away from the doctor. In fact, I did just see this little thing just before we started our presentation. I'm going to share my screen, and it couldn't be more true, really. My insurance company only knew how many times I successfully averted trips to the doctor, they would either lower my premium or help me pay for my oils.
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. Yeah. Wow. So, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So we love essential oils. They're very effective.
And they're very protective. They're very protective, and they also help you get well.
We didn't even talk about that, though. Like, we didn't even talk about the like on its constituent level, how intelligent they are. Because they're living. They are a living, that they're the lifeblood of the plant. We didn't even talk about how it was made, like any of that. This is just really an appetizer.
Yeah, and we wanted to get some stuff out for the holidays, because a lot of people are getting COVID again. And so we feel like a lot of these things may be able to help people not get it, or get well faster, or get well, period. We're not doctors, and we don't give out medical advice, but we can tell you what's worked for us.
Yes, exactly. So, thanks for watching our episode on essential oils. Feel free to join our Telegram and testimonial groups, where we post other information. We have a Facebook support group as well. Follow us on YouTube. We are now available on Spotify, so you can listen to our audio recordings as well. And if you need to email us, ask any questions, or if you have any testimonies, we really love to hear testimonies.
Yeah, testimonies on essential oils would be great. Also, I feel like if you have something that you want us to cover, a topic or a product that you want us to cover, let us know, because we have so many things in the pipeline. Our next episode is going to be on EMF protection, and we're very excited about that, which is a very important topic. And then we have so many other things on our list, but we probably will only have one more official show before the end of the year, and then I think we might just get together and gab for the last few weeks or whatever. So
because it's been a massive last quarter of this year, hasn't it, for us? So we've got lots to debrief.
Yes. Yes, we do.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Jodi. I was really I learned a lot about your blends. I think they were really good. And I thought it funny that ours we've got a bit of crossover. It's pretty similar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's really good. Awesome. Well, thank you, and we'll see you next week.